Hello YouTube. Today I'm doing another recap video of my latest event. Happened June 19th, 2022, actually on Father's Day, where we went to Mont Tremblant in Montreal, or Quebec, just outside of Montreal, in Canada here. I'm just going to go over, kind of like I did with the Mud Hero event, my thoughts, the good, the bad, overall, how I felt about it, things like that. So I'm just gonna get right into it. I don't want to make this one as super long as last time. There's honestly not much bad to say about this event. This is the now third location Spartan event I've done. We did Blue Mountains last year. We did Ottawa. We did Calabogie. So we did a 10-kilometer super there, and then the very next day we did the 10-kilometer trail. And then, so now we've done the 5-kilometer sprint, 20 obstacles, 5 kilometers of distance over high elevation. This course, let's just break it down, it was absolutely brutal. For 5 kilometers, they pushed us to the test. This is by far my favorite one I've done so far. It was absolutely mentally and physically taxing. I don't know what else to say about that. It was brutal. They started off with, if you're not familiar with Mont Tremblant, it's a ski hill in the summer, in the winters, obviously. But it is used in the summer as well. A lot of biking, hiking, things like that. I had personally never been, so this was a new experience to me. It was phenomenal. It started off the race with a huge elevation gain, which seemed to go on for about, honestly, felt like 2 kilometers straight up, like an upgrade. Started gradual, where you're kind of going up on this grassy hill, and then you get over this bend, and you'd think it was over because, like, when you're standing back, the mountain's so big that you're thinking, okay, you're gonna get a flat section. No, it just keeps going and going, and then you kind of get to a part where they had a trail where you're going into the woods, and that was almost a 90-degree, it felt like, incline for a long time. Heavy mud, trees, rocks, everything. It was a dangerous course. It was like I said, it was a beautiful course. I can't say anything bad about the location. Absolutely phenomenal. So it was a 3.5-hour drive from where we live here in Ontario to Mont Tremblant. The location was so there's a way to go that's kind of about 2.5 hours, but we basically had to go all the way around the other side of the mountain. That's where the Spartan event was held, which was fine. So it was a long drive. I wasn't driving, but kind of sit in the passenger seat. So overall, the entire day, we were gone 12 hours. 3.5-hour drive there and back. So we're at 7 hours of just driving. And then we were at the festival for about 5 hours, an hour and a half beforehand. It took me an hour to race. It took my buddy an hour and a half to race. And then we had to stick around because I actually podiumed. So we had to wait around for the results. Which is great. I did not expect to do so well, especially in the 5K sprint. My goal going into the Spartans this year was to get a top 10 placement in my age group. So far I've gotten, the trail is a completely separate thing, but I ended up finishing first overall in my age group and second overall in the entire event. And then actually the event we just did, in my heat, I was 7th for the 5 kilometer. Now, overall, I was, sorry, I didn't write that down. I think I was I was a higher number. I think it was 25th overall, but I was third in my age group. So in our heat, we mixed 2 different age groups. They tend to do that. They tend to mix to fill the heat. So obviously you're not having 100 heats throughout the day. But I ended up getting third overall. So this is the medal. I would show you the Mud Hero medal, but we did not get it this year, right? So these are beautiful medals. As you can see, and I apologize for the reverse, but you get your medal and you also get a third of what's called a trifecta medal. So you get one of these for completing a sprint, a super, and a beast. You put them all together in a little triangle holder, and it looks phenomenal. So we've got, again, and there's the back. This is kind of their animal thing they're doing this year. It's kind of cool. It looks like a hawk. I love it. I love it. I love it. If you follow my Twitch, that's my sub button. Here's the, and you can the lanyard, sorry, and you can invert it. I really like the white. I think it's very clean looking. Unbreakable National Series written in there. Okay, so that's the medal, and then we've got the third place. So again, I apologize for the reverse, but age, it says age group 35 to 39. Yes, I am 35 years old. Third place finisher, and it is this bronze tinge color. Okay. So, overall, that's the goods. The festival. For what area they could put the festival in, I thought it was really well done. It didn't seem too crowded. There was a ass ton of people here, which was great. Fuck the whole government COVID shit, right? So there was a lot of people here. It was great. There was a lot of athletes and children running the events, supporters, volunteers. This one, they nailed it. They nailed it. They had ample staff. Things were spaced out. They actually had some cool things too. So a local gym owner had his own like ninja gym kind of set up, so you could go and kind of practice on some jungle gyms. They had the first time ever they've had the spear throw target practice in Canada. I didn't get to do that because there was quite a bit of lineup, so we didn't really get the chance to experiment that. The typical vendors, we had Guru there. It's a natural energy drink thing. I don't honestly know how it tastes. My buddy loved them, but I don't drink energy drinks. They had Beyond Meat handing out free wedges of their burgers. I don't. He's a vegetarian, so he loves them. It's not something I eat. They had a canteen that was the like Mont Tremblant's canteen, so you could go in there, you would get, you know, fries, pizza, chips, things like that, like carb up after you're done a race. If you wanted your alcohol, they had that. After the race, they didn't give you a beer ticket this time. This was the first Spartan event. We didn't get a free beer ticket. However, at the very end of the finish line, there was your Athletic Brewing Company beer. I don't drink. I'm almost 2 years sober, but it was great that it was just there, and you could just take it if you wanted, and you didn't have to just kind of have this redeem, go find the vendor and give his ticket. I thought that was really cool. I said the festival was amazing. DJ was pumping. The announcer was good, but I'll get a little more on that in the end. So the festival, the layout was great. Again, for what area they could use in, there was plenty of bathrooms. They could have used more hand wash stations. There was only one. They have these like you pump the water as it comes out, and obviously like it's like just cold water, but there was only one of them. That was the only kind of gripe about the bathroom situation. The course, very hard. He said very challenging, very grueling. Loved it. The obstacles, so the obstacles were fantastic. I don't think there was anything new that I hadn't done between the 21K in Blue Mountains and Ottawa, the 10K. I don't think there was a surprised obstacle. I think everything I've done before, I ended up completing every obstacle except the javelin throw. If you were at the event, I apologize for cursing. My first time actually hitting the target, somehow, even though I placed the cable beside me, I took my time. Somehow it got wrapped up in my right ankle, and it actually pulled it out as my foot went back to neutral from the throwing position. It actually yanked on my ankle and pulled it out, so I had to do 30 burpees. It actually ended up costing me second place overall in my age group. The guy that beat me by 36 seconds. And I honestly spent, when I had to do the burpees, it took me about 3 to 4 minutes. It was kind of grueling. Like I said, this course was so brutal. So I did lose second place because of it, but reflection, everything, it happens to the elites, the people that are doing this for money, and hopefully one day I can. But I'm not sour about it anymore. It is what it is. Congratulations to first and second. Obviously, I'm not being sour on them, taking anything against them. It was something that happened. I'm learning from it, and hopefully it won't happen again. But the obstacles were amazing, fun, challenging. Oh, it was such a good event. They had an owl. Okay, they just had an owl. They decided to make this event, this trifecta weekend, different, and they just kind of made a theme, and they put an owl in there. And it was a horned owl. I've never seen an owl up front, up close. It was freaking cool. The thing's creepy as hell to look at. They look automated the way that you can't really see their neck, and they just move their head back and forth, their big ass eyes. But it was awesome. They brought a trained owl. You could take pictures of it. The elite groupings, the first place winners actually got to hold the owl with the glove on and rest it on there and get the picture taken. Such a great idea. Fantastic touch to an already amazing event. No need to do it and spend the money and have the trainer and everything, but they did it, and it was great. Really good. Well done. Other good thing, photos, lots and lots of photos, finish line photos. I think they had 4 different photographers just on the 5K, around the 5K alone, of different obstacles so you got lots of photos. And again, with the owl, so they weren't doing a podium thing, there was a special little section you could go and get your picture taken with the owl. Of course, we did it. Birds kind of freaked me out, but we're at a Spartan event where we're facing our fears. We did it. We got a picture with a cool ass owl. Plenty of water. They had more than ample water stations on the 5K course, more than recommended. Even I remember them talking the beast. They had about 4 or 5 extra water stations than the Spartan recommends because the course was so brutal. Great. The only gripe, touch a little bit, I didn't put it in the bad section, but the only part was they didn't have cups set up. And I know that might sound kind of petty, but when you're in a race and you're trying, to progress and keep pace and you're challenging yourself not only, but you are trying to get a podium. Sometimes when you just want to grab that water, take a swig, to take the cup out of the bag, and fill it up, and then you've already lost like 10 seconds, and it does add up obviously if you've raced before. So that was my only gripe about it, is there was the water stations, every cup was in a plastic sleeve. They weren't set up like the last 3 races I did. They were already set up on the tables for you just to grab one and go. So that was my only bad thing to say about the water station. Great staff and great volunteers. There was a lot more volunteers than there had been at the last two ones I went. They actually seemed to really give a crap and know what they were doing. Not saying, I'm not taking away from the other events, not saying they didn't, but this one they really were pumping you up, high fives as you hit, like, you know, if you hit targets or you did the obstacles, and they were very good at directing you where to go. The course was extremely well marked. There was no confusion at all. Everything was just perfect on the course when it came down to marking. Now, getting to kind of the bad section. The trail section of the course, and now I understand trail running. I've only competed in one trail running, like I just said. But the sections they had, a lot of it was like 2 people wide at most. And I understand that, first off, you're doing an event in a national kind of park, or, you know, we're on a ski hill or whatever that is used, and you can't really mark off too much and destroy the forestry and stuff like that. I get it. But there was so many sections, because so many people were in the heats, and our heat was like, you know, the last heat of the age groups of the day, at least for the age group competition part. Very early on, I mean, talking not even 5 minutes into the start of our wave, we were trying to pass a lot of people, and some sections it was nice and wide, but then once you hit the trail sections, it was very hard to pass people. I had to slow down so many times, almost to a walk, to try to get by people. I was jumping into glades and huge puddles of mud instead of taking the easier route. Whatever it is on that section, but it was very hard to maneuver around certain people in some of the sections. And when it came to the obstacle, the sandbag carry, it was a very narrow path to get to the sandbag. I actually was stalled in a line for honestly about 30 seconds before I could grab my sandbag, because there was so many people. The way they had it, you could only grab, like, normally they have a huge open section when you do the sandbag or the bucket carry. The bucket carry had this massive open section where you could run by and grab a bucket. The sandbag was this very narrow corridor between forest and opening, and then we were stuck waiting to get a sandbag behind 2 or 3 heats ahead of us. That really did annoy me on the course, because again, I was starting to lose my lead in the positioning, but I understand it can't be perfect. That's why I'm saying this is kind of just one of the bads I had with it. Another kind of thing was with the announcer. He did a phenomenal job throughout the day, and the DJing and the music and stuff, but when it came to the podiums near the end, the elites seemed to get the big buzz, which is fine, but when it came to the age group podiums, everything was rushed. It was, okay, 4:30, we're going to start it. We're going to do waves in 15 minutes. And it was just one after another. Like, it was very hard. I was about 10 feet from the stage. I know I was podium. I was 10 feet from the stage. The announcer's right beside the stage, and I could barely understand him. He was just kind of speaking really quickly. He would say, like, age group, female, 14 to 17, and a lot of people, I feel like, were still at the event that didn't even go up because they didn't know their names were called. A few times people were going 2-3 minutes almost after their name got called and trying to get their medal because they didn't really know their name was called. When I stood up on the podium, I was the only one. I stood on third alone. I don't know if the other 2 were there. Maybe they just missed their name. It just felt really rushed. They went through all the different age groups, men, female. It felt like within 10 minutes, and you didn't really get, I said, you just kind of blurred everything together, and it wasn't very clear when he was talking when it came to the podium. Not that they could help it. Again, just kind of hitting the bad. It's not even the biggest deal, but the results table a lot of it wasn't working with connection issues, and it makes sense. You're on a mountain. You're in the middle of nowhere. I get it. And again, I'm not taking it from Spartan. I'm not saying, oh, you fucking should have Wi-Fi towers there. No, I get it. But when it was coming to check results, a lot of the times the 3-4 iPads they had there weren't working, and you couldn't see your standings, or there was connection issues. A simple bad gripe. Not that I was hating on it, just kind of pointing out little things, right? And then, so this one, the last little bad section I had about it was, for some reason, every obstacle had a penalty loop instead of the mandatory 30 burpees. The only one that they implemented the burpees on was the javelin, which that is their most failed obstacle in all of the Spartan obstacles they do. It is the one that has the highest percentage of failure rate, unless you are really lucky in have land and you can makeshift a spear or a javelin and you have a target dummy. 98% of people are not going to be able to practice it, which, again, whatever. If you want to have it in your event, even though a lot of the elites and a lot of people have a gripe with it, it's a run killer if you miss it. But why was that the only one that had the burpee penalty? If anything, if you're only going to have one referee, I know there was some issues where they had, the director had said that some of the referees couldn't make it. Understandable, but there should have been a different obstacle if you're only going to have one that gives burpees. That's my gripe, and it's not. And I even said that before I even went to the event, because this was Friday, and we were talking on the Q&A on the Instagram, and I even was like, "Why would you only have that event?" And then I ended up, that was the one I failed, so of course karma kicked me in the ass there. But it really is, it was really frustrating, because every other event, like when I did Blue Mountains 30 obstacles, there was only 3 penalty loops and the rest were all burpees. Ottawa, there was only 2 in the 25 obstacles. Only 2 of them had penalty loops and the rest had burpees. So why was this event, the one they really hyped up and said we're going to do great, which they did a phenomenal job, but why did they only have one station with burpees, and again the one that has the highest fail rate? I think it was a little unfair to do that, because it was almost, I'm not saying that maybe people did it, but the thought of, you could essentially just walk up to an obstacle, fail it within a half a second, and just run the small penalty loop, and literally take less time than it would take to do the obstacle. So I don't know if anybody really did that in the elite level or whatever, but that was the option that was given to you. And I don't like that. I don't like that, because even though I strive on running comparatively to doing burpees and things like that, I don't think it's fair. I don't think you should switch it up like that, and especially when all your other events have done burpees and barely any penalty loops. So that's basically my good and bad impressions of it. Cost-wise, I think we paid, it was free for us because we had redeemed these from 2 years ago, but at the time I think it was $70 Canadian before taxes. Free bag check, free parking, free beer if you're into that. You want one beer. You get your medal. You get your bandana. You get ample pictures. Value-wise, 10 out of 10. As always, Spartan kills it. I give the entire event a 9 out of 10 on a personal rating. Just a couple little gripes, like I said, that some sections of the trail where it was very hard, very narrow, and on the tape to run to get past people, and then the penalty loop situation was kind of the only thing that really bothered me. Other than that, absolutely phenomenal event. Next event's coming up is a Tough Mudder, and that's in the end of September in Toronto. And then we have Blue Mountains just outside of Toronto on October 22nd. So far we're signed up for the 21K Beast. We are looking at doing a 2-day. So we are looking to do a whole trifecta there because we saw how fantastic Montreal was and we missed out on that glorious big trifecta owl medal. I didn't know that you had to do all 3 to get that medal, which is fine. So now we're looking at Blue Mountain doing all 3 in 2 days and having a blast. So that's about it for this video. Appreciate a thumbs up, subscribe, means the world to me. You can follow me for live workouts on Twitch. My username is Dolath, same as my YouTube. And my Instagram is MikeB606. I really do appreciate, more than anything, follows on my Instagram. I am trying to get a sponsorship so I can do this full time. So if I can get a sponsorship from a company, that endorses obstacle course racing, it would mean the world to me. And so any likes on Spartan events or like sponsored, companies that like Honey Stinger, things like that I try to promote, I really appreciate if you guys would like those posts. But yeah, so 9 out of 10, phenomenal event. Still kind of riding the high from it. Had so